We are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. Glad you could join me again on this lovely Friday from London. Overcast, raining, uh, miserable, but you got me to look at and we can talk boxing. If you haven't subscribed already, do please consider subscribing to the channel. Like the video as you come into the room, or if you're watching it on replay, do smash the like button. Appreciate it. It does affect the algorithm. Start on a positive note, it's good to know that our videos are beginning to be seen again, which is really positive, and starting to get traction that we like. So it's good. Even if it's via the shorts, it's good. So do check out the shorts video as well, because sometimes I do use the shorts video and connect it back to live shows. Also, if you didn't know already, now you know. Daily, I am on YouTube doing FC26 manager mode with ST and Cameron and You Got No Fans and who else? Sometimes Tony comes into the room. Who else have I got on? Marky B, yeah. So there's a few people that pop into the room and we talk about boxing, we talk about life in general. So all sorts of conversations happen. So if you ever are bored and or you just want to have a chat, pop up on BWTM Sports Gaming live for FC26 and you can come in and have chats. I talk to people from around the world. It's open. I have my live cam now, so you see me on camera with all the reactions while I'm doing my FC26. It's football. You don't have to like football. You can just come and talk to me. So FC26, check it out. Live streams all the time. So do get in, check it out, and we can have a good chat about so many different topics. So I thought I'd talk about that as well. Currently, I am the manager of Charlton Athletic Football Club. We are in the Premiership. This is the second season in the Premiership, and this year we're trying to get into Europe. We finished 10th last year. No, 13th with Tell Live. We finished 13th last year. So this thing, I think we're getting to the top 6. Yeah. Anyway, enough of that talk. Let's talk boxing. The boxing world and what's been going on. Where do we start? Top of the morning to you, Joe Gallagher. Congratulations. It's great to hear that Joe Gallagher has positive news about Joe Gallagher and his fight with stage 4 cancer. To shout to Joe Gallagher. The news didn't sound good when we heard about it, but Gallagher has shown fighting heart and has obviously done the right things to get himself in a position to be positive news. So I think he's overcome the cancer, which is brilliant news, fantastic news, and the human spirit, discipline, commitment, the lot. Just shout out to Joe Gallagher about that. That's amazing. Good news in boxing. Let me see what else is good news. Yeah, they had boxing in Nigeria. Listen, I spent 3 years in Nigeria. If you are not already aware of it, I'm not Nigerian. My family from the Caribbean, but I spent 3 years in Nigeria during the lockdown, and I did a lot of cricket development out there. I think my story is quite clear. I've spoken, did a kind of like a feedback on it recently. What's your channel about, please, mate? Boxing, boxing. It's been about boxing or sports in general for the last 10 years, 10 or more years. Yeah, sports in gaming. So sports in gaming. That's what it's about. So what was I talking about? I forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, I'm talking about cricket, and I was talking about the development that I've been doing out there. Just touching that point. Because of the boxing in Nigeria, my connection to that is because when I was in Nigeria, I did manage to take BWTM Sports out there, and we did cover some boxing. I think we did, and one of the boxing promoters was on our channel, Fella Champ, who did the promotion for it. Did a promotion there in Lagos, and there are challenges, man. It's not easy. Um, but they talk about Nigeria like it's the way they talk about it's like it's we're the first to discover Nigeria, or uh, oh, Nigeria, we've got so many fighters from Nigeria. We should do a promotion in Nigeria. I mean, I'm like saying to myself, I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. You've got so many fighters that are from Nigerian heritage. You should be doing shows there on a regular basis. You see, the question is, why is it taken? Why is it taken so long for them to put a show on like that in Nigeria? Why is it not a regular thing? I think Amir Khan, shout out to him, because I think that he's onto something there, but he's going to have to be very patient, and I think he's going to have to deal with, if he can anyone who's going to come from abroad and work in Nigeria is going to have he will come up against the challenges in Nigeria because of the system that's out there. And that's not speaking negatively about it. That's not talking negatively about it. That is just from my experience, seeing how things are structurally organized out there and the characters out there. It's money first, business second. And I think that there's going to be challenges out there, more or less than Ghana. But I think there's so many fighters, so many talented fighters that are hungry out there. There are some jokers as well, but that's like anywhere in the world. There's so many fighters out there who've got the natural talent and the hunger and desire to do well in the sport. I think if the organizations, if the boxing board in Nigeria can get itself together to a point where it can be professional, to a point that it can host major events on a continual basis without interference, without confusion, without egos getting in the way, I think Nigeria could have something very special there, because you've got so many fighters of Nigerian heritage. You think to yourself, so many fighters are out there that in the UK. Why have they not been able to go back to Nigeria and do fights out there? There must be something wrong. You know, I mean, what can be so difficult about setting up an event in Nigeria? I don't. It's just something that I think that needs to be. Um, there needs to be more of it, more boxing in Africa. I think, but again, it's how it goes about. It's not just a once every 4 years something. It's a regular event. It happens all the time, and that is not an event. Anthony Joshua's going to fight in Nigeria. But that's his home. Or that's where he's from. That's where his family's from, right? Why is it an event? Why is it not just, yeah, it's a homecoming, but like, why does it have to be all this long drawn out process? And why does it have to be at the tail end of his career? Why couldn't he have had that fight as world heavyweight champion in the peak of his powers? Same with Wilder. Why are we waiting until these guys at the tail end of their careers to now go to Nigeria and say we want them in Nigeria? So the best of them is for Europe and America and and the Middle East, but it can't be in Africa. That I don't understand it. I don't get it. I think it can be done. I think it should be done, and I think it needs to be done soon. So those are my thoughts on that. And the reason why I'm talking about the structural, because even let's take a small thing for example. Even the night that they were doing the Dazn, that was delayed. I don't know why it was delayed for, but I. And then after that, after the delay, the announcer that was on, I'm like, this is something that you would see in Lagos. And I'm sure there are better, I know people that are better announcers than that guy that are from Lagos that could present a show better. So I think it can be done, but I think it should be done. It can be done. Um, Word's not better, but it can be presented in a better way. So it's certainly something that I looked at. I saw it. Um, Happy it was in Dazn. Really happy. Um, but I think, if I'm honest with you, um, there's going to be a lot of pulling of teeth. I can foresee a lot of pulling of teeth in Nigeria, a lot of pulling of teeth, unless somebody like Turkey gets really involved. Somebody's got a lot of investment can get in there and say, "This is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to be run." I don't know. There's a lot of egos around, and a lot of people that are in positions of power that are not professional. I might be speaking out of turn. Are people in positions of power that are there not because they're good enough, but because they know somebody, and that's something that I have seen and noticed and understood spending the 3 years in Africa. So when you've got that sort of infrastructure in place, where it's not the case of whereas in Europe and in America and in the UK, it's about your certification first and what you can do with that certification. It's more the case of who you know and less of the certification out there. From my experience, it's not valued as much. So I think it's something that needs to be looked into, and it's not just a daily event, but it's something that, oh, not a date, I want to talk about. It's not just an event, like, oh, we're going to be in Africa, we're going to Nigeria, but it's more a regular thing. It becomes more of the norm. When you go to Saudi Arabia, it's not, oh, we're going to Saudi Arabia. It's now Saudi Arabia is where it is, we're at. You know, we're going to America, it's where it's at. Nigeria, Africa, Ghana, those places need to be just have the same sort of flow as other places in the world, and it can be that. And if it does, then people are going to be more. People will fly to Africa to go and watch boxing events, but it shouldn't be watching fighters that are past their best fighting. So there should be a card one night where the likes of Itauma, Okoli, uh, Adelaide, Wardley, all those guys should be fighting on a card. That would be great, and it would inspire the young Africans that are out in Nigeria. That's my thoughts on that. It is different, those thoughts. However, I don't know. I think that something needs to be done. I think. But anyway, moving on. Let us talk about. So we talked about Africa and Nigeria, which is great. Moses Itauma. I must say it again. He's not that guy. Not yet. Moses Itauma, fair play team. He got rid of Dillian White. Again, the whole Dillian White Moses Itauma fight still left me feeling very unsettled. There are many people out there that felt unsettled too with that fight. So, what's wrong with my stream today? I don't know if my stream something looks like wrong with my stream. Okay, but yeah, Moses Itauma, he's not that guy yet. As far as I'm concerned, he beat Dillian White, and that's fair play. He beat him, but he's in a position where he said he's quite happy to get in there and fight Usyk in his next fight, or the people around him will talk about him fighting Usyk in his next fight. Bearing in mind, he just beat Dillian White, who's never been a world champion. He's never been a world champion. Tough guy, tough fighter, had some great fights, and I'm not knocking Dillian White, but I'm not backtracking either, because I was backing Dillian to beat him, but I don't know what happened on the night, and again, I don't. Stories of the injury to the leg, it'll come out eventually. It'll come out eventually what it was, but for now, Dillian White's gone silent. He's disappeared, and Good luck to him and his life and what he's doing with his life now. But Itauma's not that guy. Itauma's not that guy. And he's not that guy yet. Say what you want about David Adelaide. We know where he's at because we've seen him fight. We've seen him get beat, but we've seen him fight. We've seen him fight against Hergovic. We know where he's at. Lawrence Sokoli. We know where he's at. You know, 2-weight world champion, trying to be a 3-time world champion. Underrated Lawrence Sokoli. We know where he's at. Anthony Joshua, we know where he's at. Tyson Fury, we know where he's at. Andy Ruiz, we know where he's at. Michael Hunter, we know where he's at. Jerome Miller, we know where he's at. Sanchez, we know where he's at. Even Hughie Fury, we know where he's at. Most of the time, we don't know where he's at. So you cannot put Moses Itauma in those rooms. We can't, because he's not done anything to be in the room with those guys. He hasn't. He hasn't yet. He's still a prospect in my mind. Usyk, we know where he's at. Dubois, we know where he's at. In victory or in defeat, we know where these guys are. We know where we can put them in a pecking order. Or we have an idea where we can put them in a pecking order. Because we've seen them fight. We've seen what they can do. We've seen what we can do when they what they can do when they're on the attack. We've seen what they're like on the defense. We've seen what they're like when they get hit on the chin. We've seen how they respond, all in different ways, in different manners. We know what they can do. We know the caliber of what we're looking at. With Moses Itauma, oh, he's got quick hands. Yeah, he's got quick hands. Again, Amir Khan had quick hands. He had good feet until he got hit on the chin. And when he got hit on the chin, we all know what happened. And until he said, oh, well, the best chins are ones that don't get hit. Well, even Floyd's chin got hit. Newsflash. So, while everyone at the moment is jumping up about Moses Itauma, he's that guy, he's that guy, he's that guy. For me, he's not that guy yet. He's not that guy yet. He needs to meet somebody who's going to give him some serious resistance. A Jerome Miller, right? Somebody's going to come to fight. Somebody's going to come to have a go. If they want him to be a world champion, stick him in with Kubrat Pulev. He'll be a WBA world champion. I mean, that, to me, would be the fight. Him against Kubrat Pulev. Would they put him against Gerard Anderson? They're going to put him in with guys that are vulnerable. The guys who have been knocked out. Guys who've been hurt. Guys who are flat-footed. Guys who are not going to present too many problems. Those are the type of guys they're going to put Moses Itauma with. But at the same time, shout out and say, oh, Usyk. He himself, he said he doesn't have the profile. He said himself, he doesn't have the profile of those guys I've mentioned. Or the pulling power. Now, I don't know if that's an excuse from him. But he's not ready for Alexander Usyk. Too green, not experienced enough. But people are pushing the Itauma, the bandwagon. And just like I warned you about Anthony Joshua, before he went over America and he fought Andy Ruiz. And I warned you all about that. I said to you, Joshua should not go to America. And if he goes to America and fights Andy Ruiz, it's trouble. And his stock just went like that. He never went back to America. Joshua never went back to America. Although he went to Saudi Arabia and won the fight against Andy Ruiz, it's still 1-1. Still 1-1. Should be a third fight. That's probably not going to happen. So guys like Michael Hunter. I mean, Michael Hunter has got all the skills in the world to give Itauma problems. A fight I think they might take is Justice Hooney. Or Justice Hooney. Because Wardley knocked him out of one shot, yeah? Hooney seems to have a concentration problem. He's a good boxer, but he seems to have a concentration problem. Hooney would be a good opponent for Itauma because Wardley fought him. They know the inside on Hooney. So he'd be a good fight for... Hooney would be a good opponent. Pulev would be a good opponent. I wouldn't fight Michael Hunter, though. I wouldn't fight Michael Hunter. Michael Hunter's that guy. You saw any problems he gave Usyk. I don't know, but I don't know where Michael Hunter is in his career anymore. Has he been? Is he disillusioned with boxing, or does he really much still into boxing? Because Michael Hunter's a good fight. Michael Hunter's a good fight, and if Itama's not that guy, you know, guys, maybe Charles Martin, um, them type of guys. But Pulev to me would be the perfect fight. He would be the perfect fight. Kubrat Pulev. He's slow. He's old. WBA regular champion, and Itama could call himself a world champion, and he could take a several defenses against guys that, yeah, well, he could be that world champion. So there you go. Another guy on that list, Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora could fight for the WBA title as well. I saw them talk about David Adelaide versus Itauma. Why would they put that fight together? Well, they obviously see where David Adelaide's ceiling is, and think that Itama could run through him. A risky fight. Adelaide will come out all guns blazing, but the southpaw style, speed and movement could nullify what David Adelaide does most and does best. Don't know. Is Adelaide willing to make the changes and the adjustments necessary, or is he just that guy that thinks he's better than he actually is, and that's stunting his growth? I don't know. We'll see. Soon will be announced whoever Moses Itama is fighting. Moving on. On the subject of belts, the Zuffa belt. Well, I warned you about it, didn't I? I didn't tell you about the Zuffa belt. I told you that the Zuffa belt, well, something like that was going to happen, that there'd be a new belt. So you can kiss goodbye to Undisputed. Boxing is on the decline fast, because now you've got fights like Tank Davis against Jake Paul. We're having Floyd coming back to fight Mike Tyson. Like, we're having this Zuffa belt that's coming out now. Talk about previously from Turkey about rings shrinking or moving, getting smaller. I mean, I would not be surprised. This is another thing. I would not be surprised yet if they made boxing rings. Yeah, that if the fight was getting boring, they could push a button and make the ring size get smaller. So guess what happens? As the ring size gets smaller, the fighters almost start fighting in a phone booth. Do you know? It wouldn't surprise me if they had a buzzer system for boxing as well. 3 buzzers, like if the boxing's good, not good, or rubbish. And if you put the red button for rubbish, you push the red button, Turkey can push the red button, and the ring size gets smaller. Listen, anything's possible in sport of boxing now. But you can forget about your undisputed champions. You can forget about your legends. Forget all about that stuff now, because guess what? Legends in the sport will only just be, I don't know. They will just be guys you'll look at, but you won't look at with the same reverence unless you were back in that day. Because now it's not about legacy. It's about, are you willing to do it for the money? And here leads me on to Canelo. And Canelo signed $100 million deal, right, with Turkey. Is he in a slave contract now? Because, well, was he injured going into the fight against Crawford? Was he injured in the skull fight? Canelo. Don't know. And if he was, then why did he take the fight? Having said that, Tyson Fury is injured. Remember, he got that cut over his eye? And Turkey said there was going to be a 10 million fine if Tyson decided to pull out the fight. Remember all that? Yeah. So the lines are drawn. You can see that things are there. I am not taking anything away from Crawford's performance, because that's not the focus here. The focus I'm looking at is Canelo and what he's doing now. Now, there were some whispers and some talk of the fact that maybe, possibly, the next fight for Canelo is going to be Benavidez. They're going to feed him to Benavidez. And if he signed $100 million contract, right? And in that contract it says you will fight this person, this person, and this person, right? Regardless. And guess what? It then lines up with what Canelo said. He said something along the lines of, I'm not interested in fighting for belts anymore. I'll fight the best possible guys around. I had my era and I had my time. Hello from Istanbul. How are we doing, Turkey? Assalamu alaikum. I, I had my time and I had my opportunity to be a world champion. I had my era. So he said that in some way. I'm thinking to myself, why would you say something like that? Unless you damn well know what your fate's going to be. So now you decide to, you now are injured, and it's saying you're going to be out of boxing for a period of time. Now, how much in that period of time runs down a contract? So I remember Andre Ward back in the day had some issues. London. I remember Andre Ward back in the day, he had some contractual issues, right? And so what he did, he just waited out until his contract ended. And then he fought. Now, there are some contracts that say that when you are tied to one promotional company or you're tied to one promotional company, you cannot fight anywhere else. You can only fight on that promotional company's banner. And if you go and fight anywhere else, you will get sued. So, there's some things for us to think about, boxing fans. The contract is one that we're going to hear a lot more of the contract. If we don't hear a lot more about it, you're going to see fighters operate in a funny way. Whereas they can't talk about the contract. They like sign an NDA, a non-disclosure, which basically means they can't talk about what's in the contract. But you might see fighters move in a different way. Like, why is he moving like that? He's moving funny. Why is he moving like that? Why is he behaving in that way? You know? Like, again, I've never, in all of Canelo's career, in all his fights he's had, I've never seen him, when he gets hit with punches, react the way he was reacting to punches against Crawford. No idea why. But if there was something wrong, he can't talk about it. Part of the contract. You paid 100 million plus, so shut your mouth, take your beating, and go home. And that, I think, is going to be a story for a lot of fighters. I was sitting downstairs earlier. Actually, I was standing, washing my dishes. And I was thinking to myself, what could they next do? What could be the next move to make this work more? They could start setting up boxing centres like they did for UFC. They could start setting boxing centres up around the world. And they can start, I won't say breeding fighters, but they can start having these catchment centres for boxers. So they will need less of the promoters. And what the promoters do, what I can see happening, the promoters will get phased out. They'll get phased out. And then I can see it being like North America, South America, Africa, Europe, right? And then what I can see happening is that Emperor Turkey, this is just the way I kind of see things, Emperor Turkey sits at the head, and that these promoters become feeders. And their job is to feed fighters into the different avenues. And then those who are worthy will fight at the pinnacle, which is Saudi boxing. I can kind of see that happening. And the boxing centres might be where they will grow new talent. And I don't think we're going to have, in this next era coming, long reigning world champions. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. Because they'll get matched hard. You're going to see fighters. They're going to see a lot more injuries in boxing. Yeah, and people don't care. People don't care. Let me tell you this: people do not care. They don't care. Boxing fans really don't care. They don't give a damn. Give us a good fight, and on to the next one. That's the mentality of boxing fans. I'm sorry, it's true. Here's an example, right? And you tell me, you show me where I'm wrong on this. Name me a fight where there's been a bad decision, a robbery, a blatant robbery, and the judge has been sacked. Same judges, we know they're dodgy, we know they can't make good decisions. As soon as you see their name come up, we're like, this guy's dodgy. It's in the bag. You know it's gonna happen. How can sport have such open, I won't use the word corruption, but open unprofessionalism? You know these people that are gonna score fights poorly, you've lost a fight before you've even got to the arena if he goes to the scorecards with these guys. How can it be? How can it be allowed? And then when fans protest, how many times have you seen fans protest? The fans kick off for about a week or two, it dies down, and then we move on to the next fight. Tell me, how many times have you gone to a card and seen your favourite fighters getting robbed? Like you've now got it in your mind. You're so desensitized. You've got it into your brain now that when you go and watch a fight, you're like, yeah, well, he's got to knock the guy out because if he goes to the scorecard, it's this promoter, so he's going to get robbed on the cards. And then when we go to the scorecard and he actually get a good decision, you're like, wow, he won on the scorecards. Of course he won on the scorecards. He won the fight because he boxed well. So you see that the level of, I don't want to use the word corruption, but the level of injustice and unfairness is there. So, but I think what they're going to end up doing is having AI scoring. So then judges will go and AI scoring will come in. That's what I can see happening. But we'll wait and see. Yeah, I've probably got a lot more to talk about, but for now I'll leave it as that. I don't know what's going on my YouTube feed at the moment, so I'm going to see what's going on. Thank you all for watching. This has been BWTM Sports Gaming. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave your comments in the comments section, and check out the shorts and check out the community posts as well. Leave your comments in there as well. Thank you so much. Take care.